January 28, 1944. The eastern edge of the Korsun Shevchenkovsky salient, central Ukraine. Latitude 49 north, the temperature just below freezing. Snow lay packed hard by weeks of tracked vehicles, artillery fire, and frozen footsteps. At dawn, a single German Tiger I tank sat hull down along a tree line outside the village of Shevchenkovsky. Its engine had been shut down through the night to conserve fuel. Inside the steel hull, 5 men waited in silence, their breath visible in the cold air, listening to the distant, constant rumble of Soviet artillery tightening the ring around them. They belonged to Schwere Panzer Abteilung 503, temporarily attached to the German forces trapped inside what was already becoming known as the Korsun Pocket. By this stage, 3 Soviet rifle divisions, supported by tanks, artillery, and engineers, had sealed the roads to the west and south. Every hour, the encirclement grew smaller. Relief would not come. The Tiger's commander, an Oberlieutenant not yet 30, studied a creased map under the glow of a shaded flashlight. The distance to freedom was deceptively short, less than 5 kilometers to the Gniloy-Tikich River. But between them and that river lay Soviet infantry, anti-tank guns, minefields, and overlapping fire zones. The river itself was half frozen, choked with ice and the wreckage of earlier failed crossings. The order from higher command was brief and final. A breakout would be attempted after nightfall on February 16th. All remaining armor would lead. Infantry would follow. Anything that could not move would be destroyed. Until then, ammunition was to be conserved, fuel was to be saved, positions were to be held. The Tiger I was feared, but it was not invulnerable. At 57 tons with 100 millimeters of frontal armor and an 88 millimeter KWK-36 gun, it dominated open battlefields. But encircled, starved of fuel and support, its greatest strength, its weight, became a risk. One mechanical failure would mean abandonment. One empty fuel tank would mean death or capture. As darkness fell, Soviet artillery began its nightly routine. Shells walked methodically across German positions. Dugouts collapsed, horses screamed, infantry pressed themselves into frozen ground. Inside the Tiger, no one spoke. The engine was started at 1840 hours. The Maybach HL-230 roared, echoing across the frozen fields. One by one, the remaining German tanks rolled forward, followed by columns of infantry moving in silence, weapons held tight against the cold. The breakout began immediately under fire. Soviet guns were already registered on the likely routes. Explosions tore gaps through marching formations. Men fell and were left where they lay. Red tracer rounds cut through the darkness from multiple directions, revealing well-prepared defensive belts. The Tiger advanced slowly, firing only when necessary. Each 88 millimeter shell was precious. At 800 meters, the gunner destroyed a Soviet T-34 attempting to block the road. The explosion lit the night briefly before smoke swallowed it. But the Soviets did not rely on tanks alone. 3 rifle divisions held this sector in depth. As the German column advanced, it was struck from the flanks, then the front, then the rear. Progress slowed to a crawl. Vehicles burned along the route, marking the path with fire. Fuel gauges dropped faster than expected. The commander ordered the engine shut down whenever the tank halted, restarting only when movement resumed. Every liter mattered. Shortly after 1 in the morning, a Soviet 76 millimeter anti-tank gun fired from less than 200 meters. The shell struck the Tiger's side armor at an angle. The armor held, but the impact temporarily jammed the turret traverse. Inside, the crew felt the shock travel through steel and bone. The loader cleared fragments from the turret ring with his bare hands as the commander shouted corrections. Seconds later, the gun came back online. The Tiger fired at point-blank range. The Soviet position vanished. In the confusion, the Tiger surged ahead of the infantry it was meant to support. Smoke, fire, and darkness swallowed the column behind it. The tank was alone. This was the most dangerous moment. Soviet infantry closed in, firing anti-tank rifles and throwing grenades. The commander ordered maximum speed. The driver pushed the tank to nearly 30 kilometers per hour, dangerous in darkness and uneven terrain. Direction came only from shouted commands and instinct. Then the river appeared. The Gniloy Tikich was narrow but treacherous. Its banks were steep, churned into mud and ice by earlier failed crossings. Engineers had failed to prepare crossings under constant fire. There was no alternative. The Tiger descended the bank. Ice cracked beneath its weight. Water surged around the lower hull. The driver kept the engine at high revolutions, tracks grinding into the riverbed. Halfway across, the tank slowed. The commander ordered anything non-essential thrown out: spare track links, equipment, personal gear. The engine surged again. Under machine gun fire, the Tiger climbed the far bank. Bullets sparked off armor. One struck the commander's cupola, ringing violently. At 02:17 hours, the tank reached the western side. Behind it, hundreds of German soldiers attempted to follow. Many drowned, many were cut down. The Soviet divisions closed the gap as quickly as they could, but the moment had passed. The Tiger drove west until the fuel gauge hit empty. At dawn on February 17th, near Lysenka, the crew disabled the tank, destroying the breech and engine before slipping away on foot. By morning, the breakout was over. Scattered groups continued to arrive, wounded, frozen, and exhausted. Of the 60,000 men encircled, fewer than half escaped. Nearly all heavy equipment was lost. The Tiger crew survived, but their battalion was finished. Schwere Panzer Abteilung 503 would be withdrawn and rebuilt. The men would be reassigned. Some would fight again in Normandy or Hungary. Few would survive the year. The Tiger they abandoned would be examined by Soviet engineers, photographed, measured, and catalogued. Its reputation endured, but by 1944 it was already a symbol of a past phase of the war, powerful but unsustainable. The Korsun Pocket did not change the final outcome of the war. The Red Army retained the initiative and continued west, but the battle revealed the limits of armor, endurance, and human control under encirclement. What remains is not legend, but reality. Fuel gauges reaching zero, frozen rivers crossed under fire, decisions made in seconds. The 5 men lived. Many thousands did not. The fields around Shenderovka and the banks of the Gniloy Tikich are quiet today. Snow still falls there. Beneath the soil, fragments of steel remain. This story is remembered not to glorify destruction, but to acknowledge endurance and to honor all who were caught in its path. Sources used: David M. Glantz, The Korsun Shevchenkovsky Operation. David M. Glantz, Red Storm over the Ukraine. Nicholas Zetterling and Anders Frankson, The Korsun Pocket. Wolfgang Schneider, Tigers in Combat 1 and 2. German Army War Diaries, January-February 1944. Soviet General Staff Studies on the Korsun Shevchenkovsky Operation.